I'm international. I'm international.
Let's get into more tips to help you plan your trip. Now, the next and most obvious important thing is to plan accordingly for your accommodations. I think the most important thing you can do is research the area, research the activities you want to do. And this may be difficult if you're planning for a group because you have to determine how many people can stay to a room, what your group can afford. For me, as a solo traveler, the most important thing to me, obviously, is security. The hotel that I stayed in was not in a really super busy tourist area. It was sort of off the beaten path. Literally one of the nicest hotels I've ever stayed in. They had room service. They had free breakfast in the morning. Everyone there was super nice to me. So luckily, I was able to book that without any hesitation. So when I stayed in Italy, I decided to book an Airbnb. The first Airbnb that I looked at, it was really close to the airport. If you have been to Rome, you know that Fiumicino is maybe 50 minutes away from the city centers. So the guy that runs the bed and breakfast that was under my Airbnb messaged me and was like, hey, I just want you to know that this is kind of far from the city center, from the tourist attraction. And I was like, okay, that's not a problem. But as the months went on and I started doing more and more research, I realized that guy was right. If I was going to catch the train back and forth to that Airbnb, I would literally have to leave the city center at 3 p.m. every day. Otherwise, I would have to catch a taxi for like $60 back every day. I decided on this really nice apartment to myself. My first Airbnb experience. I've since learned that you really need to do your research on these places. With that, I will say make sure you're checking the area, how close it is to everything you want to do, how close it is to museums, to food, what is there to do at nighttime, what's the nightlife like, how far away is it from your train stations, your bus stops. Make sure that they explain to you how everything works. It took me a while to learn how their keys work, buttons to get in and out of the building, just things that I'm not used to. So make sure that you, as best as you can, check the accommodations, check the area, see if a hotel is better, see if an Airbnb is better, if the area is safe. Next tip, check out the transportation systems they have in another country. Honestly, that's really high up on my list. I'm not very good with directions, and I already have a really high level of anxiety traveling by myself, so I have to make sure I minimize anything that can give me anxiety as much as I can. I use the Move It app, which is my favorite maps app in another country. They'll put all of the bus route information, how long it's going to take for that mode of transportation to get to you. It's an incredible app. I suggest you look into Move It. Try to find out what the ticket prices are, and if at all, get a weekly ticket. There are a lot of countries that will allow you to get either a one-time use ticket, a daily ticket. I always opt for the weekly ticket, so I only have to deal with the ticket machine once. Do not get on a train or any type of transportation without a ticket. Plan as much as you can in advance for your transportation. Next tip, now that you got everything planned, you booked your flight, you booked your accommodation, now it's time to get ready to roll on your trip. The first thing I would suggest you do is go onto YouTube, look for how to pack carry-on only. One, it cuts down on a check bag price. You don't have to check your bag if you don't have a check bag, okay? Number two, they cannot lose your carry-on bag because it'll go onto the plane with you. Also, make sure at all times you keep your phone, your passport, and your money on you at all times. This is something that I had to learn the hard way. Do whatever you can to pack carry-on only so you don't have to worry about if your luggage is going to get lost, and also make sure you keep the most important things on you. Honestly, learning how to pack a lot of stuff in a little space kind of started working against me. So the next tip is don't overpack. Plan your actual outfit. I planned maybe 12 or 13 outfits, just small little t-shirts, dresses, things like that I'm gonna wear Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on. So you're not overpacking on clothes. Now, where I went wrong was I I was overpacking on makeup. Literally, I probably wore makeup the first 2 days and that was it. I also had was tons of eyeshadows, tons of powders, face powders, bronzers, highlighters, literally packing like I'm going to do a makeup job, all because I had the extra space, which I didn't realize was working against me. They unpacked my entire suitcase, my nice, neatly packed little carry-on. They unpacked everything. So I'm like, what do you guys think? I'm smuggling drugs or something in here? And it's exactly what they think. I'm on a tight crunch, which I'll talk about in another tip. But I'm like, I literally have 1 hour to catch my next flight and you just unpacked my entire suitcase. And I was furious. They were finally done. They just dumped all of my stuff in the little box and it was like, okay, go ahead. I'm bringing a hoodie and an overcoat, and I'm bringing a pair of black boots and brown boots and flats and all of this stuff just because I figured out how to play Tetris with my luggage, and now I have all of this crap that I have to lug back and forth in the airport. It wasn't worth it. Don't overpack. Next tip is do not forget electronics when you are traveling. I would encourage you to buy a adapter. You can get them for individual countries, but this one has pretty much anywhere you could possibly think of. So I bought this one and it has a space for the US, and then you can put that one back, and then you can slide out the settings for China, the UK, Australia. You don't want to have to pay for one of these in another country. Especially at the airport, these can run $25, $30 just because you simply forgot that you're not going to be able to use your plugs in another country. Just do yourself a favor, go into Amazon, look for an international adapter. Also, I would recommend that you take a portable charger. Now this one is kind of bulky, but I like this one also because it uses solar power. Again, something that's more important for a solo traveler like me. I can't have my phone dying while I'm out and about in some random country in a random city. If your phone dies, there's no way for you to connect to Wi-Fi. There's no way for you to use translation apps. So just check Amazon for these type of items because it might be an oversight when you're packing, but the airport will count on that and they'll tax you for it. The next tip is watch travel vlogs, watch other people's travel vlogs to see what activities they think are worth it, what's not worth it, what's worth the money, what's not worth the hype. See what kind of food places they think are great. Some places can be hidden that you would never think to look for. I still think it's important, again, especially if you're solo traveling, to stay where you're supposed to be. But if it's a safe enough place, venture out into beyond the city and see if there's activities. Like I look on Airbnb a lot in certain cities to see what there is to do aside from basic tourist stuff. There's always other fun activities, but you'll never know those things or learn from other people's mistakes. Definitely check into watching other people's travel vlogs. Next tip, for people like me with massive anxiety, look into YouTube videos to help you plan or get through the most minuscule of tasks. Unbeknownst to me, I booked my first trip ever again to Prague, and I didn't realize that I had only booked it for a layover in London for 1 hour and 15 minutes. Okay, so I'm all excited. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to Prague. And then when I got down to it, I was like, I basically have 1 hour to get off my plane, get off the back of my plane, and be in my next seat for my next flight, and I have 1 hour. You remember when I talked about how I overpacked and they unpacked all of my crap? It stressed me out, but what I was able to get help with was I was tweeting about how long do you guys think is too short of a time of layover? I have a layover in London Heathrow Airport, and I'm really scared that I might miss my connecting flight. So London Heathrow Airport actually tweeted me back and was like, hey, check out our YouTube page. So I look at their YouTube page and they have a video about how to catch a connecting flight in London Heathrow Airport. And it was honestly such a breeze. This is my first international trip, but also it's my first time flying by myself. So I know it's like really scary for me because this is all on me, my responsibility for me to get from A to B. So I found that was so incredibly useful for them to have videos on how to catch a flight, how to get through the connections, what signs to follow. I was running through the airport. I knew where I was going because I watched those videos. And also I went into checking into other videos for other places, like how to catch a train from the airport in Rome to the city center. Like, it's not that easy. It still actually wasn't that easy for me. Once I got to the train station in Rome, it took me like hours to find my next stop. Like, I prepared as much as I could, but if at all possible, check for those type of videos. If you have anxiety like I do and you're traveling by yourself, there's no one there to help you. And like, it's not that easy for me to talk to people. Just look into all those type of videos. They'll go into the airport and literally walk you through every process from getting to off your plane to a hotel, to a city center, to a certain area your Airbnb might be in. It's super helpful. So look into YouTube videos to help you do small, minimal tasks, and it will make your trip so much smoother. Next tip, very important, muy importante. Give yourself as much time as you possibly can to catch your flight. Don't wait until the last minute. These are not domestic flights. With international flights, the rules are different. You got a lot more hoops to jump through. You have to understand there's thousands of people coming from other countries connecting to go to other countries. You need to give yourself the right amount of time. Again, don't book a short layover. I will never do that again, okay? That was my one and done with that mistake because it was so stressful. I did not know if I was gonna make my flight and I was really freaking out. Give yourself time in between flights to catch your connecting flight. And once you're leaving that country, give yourself time to get to the airport. And I can't stress this enough. I say minimum 4 hours. I'm leaving Italy. It's my last day. I decided that I'm just gonna wake up early. My flight leaves at 10. Literally on my way to the train station, again, it takes 50 minutes to get back to the airport. I get a notification that my flight was canceled. And so now I'm like scrambling, like, oh my God, I gotta catch a new flight. Only reason that I knew any of this information because I had all of these apps and they were sending me notifications and I gave myself enough time. Had I not, I would have been trapped in another country another day with nothing to do. I didn't plan for financially. What am I gonna do there? Definitely give yourself enough time because you have to go through immigration. You gotta get your passport stamped, and there's like thousands of other people doing the same thing, and you will not believe how long it takes. Next tip, dress appropriately. Let's say do not go dressed like I'm a tourist, come scam me. Dress however you wanna dress, but don't overly look like a tourist, because let me tell you something. Once you are identified as an American in another country, they treat you like you're Donald Trump. And I ain't talking about President Trump. I'm talking about money, 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 money Trump. Like, they find out you're American and then you're suddenly rich. While I was in Italy, I went to the Vatican and I was reading up on the dress code there, and they were saying that they don't let people in with their certain parts of the Vatican with your shoulders out. And there were so many people in my tour group that had on like tank top. Once we got to a certain part in the basilica, they were like, you can't come in unless your shoulders are covered up. And I was like, that really sucked. Like, we paid like $60 for these tickets and you can't even see everything because you didn't check the dress code. I wore a nice short sleeve shirt because I read that and I didn't know if it was true or not. And I got there and it turned out to be true. So check the dress code. Don't look over touristy. Don't look like you have money to steal, and make sure you're not going somewhere where they actually have a legitimate dress code. Last tip, and probably most important, avoid tourist traps, okay? Like I said before, once they find out that you're American, suddenly you're rich and have money to donate. And I'm not saying don't be kind. In both countries that I visited last year, it's like, I think they could tell that I was American. It's like, they followed me a little more than they followed everybody else. And it got really ugly. They started yelling and screaming at me like, you're a very bad woman. I'm like, I don't have anything. So make sure you don't leave a wallet, a purse, or anything unattended. I've seen in people's vlogs where they'll dress up in a nun outfit and come to find out they're not with the church, and they'll collect money, raise money for orphanages, and then they're just random people. There's not a lot of ways to tell that. Personally, I'm just like, I'll move along, okay? Hopefully you guys found all of my tips useful. That was all I had for you guys. So be sure to stay tuned in to my videos. I'll have a lot more about my journey international traveling. See me soon later. Bye.